Stephanie called me. She says, Daryl's dead.
I think you did something. I think you were...
You think I did something?
Yeah.
He didn't have any enemies that I knew.
You're not gonna find no gun residue because I did not pull no trigger.
Who actually pulled the trigger? It was an open question.
Was there anybody else there?
Yeah, that Mexican guy that we don't know whose name it was.
It was like something out of a weird movie.
What did he tell you?
That if I say anything, it wouldn't be too hard to get rid of me.
We had no murder weapon. We had no physical evidence. Getting a confession was key.
This is my first homicide investigation. It was a lot of pressure.
If you go back and you look historically at the city of Eunice, homicides are few and far between. And so when the Daryl Blagg incident took place, it was a shock.
The Eunice Police Department responded initially, and I remember that day it was raining really hard.
We got a call for a man shot, residence on 15th Street.
Have you talked to them yet, or?
We got on scene. There was Stephanie Blagg, John Blagg, and Dally Blagg standing out in the front yard.
Where's the gun?
Okay. I came over to pick him up at the park, and I walked back there, and he was laying there.
Oh,
The first thing I'm thinking is the shooter still in the house? So we backed out of the home, guns drawn, clearing it room by room. We come back out, and at that point, we realized there is no shooter here.
Stephanie called me. She was screaming. I said, what? She says, Daryl's dead. I found him in the back room. He's dead in the back hall.
He's on the way back. Looks like there's some kind of mark. I don't know if it's a gunshot.
I could still see it. I'm laying there, full of blood.
I don't know all the particulars yet, but right now we're treating it as a crime. No, we haven't moved him at all yet.
I was in shock. I was like, there's no way. He didn't have any enemies that I knew. Daryl was a happy-go-lucky guy. Everybody liked him. He was a good, honest, hard-working man, and a good friend.
He had went to basic training for the Marines. Mom was very patriotic, and he wanted her respect. He was loving, he was funny, and he was a good dad to his boys.
It was determined by the chief at that time that state police will come in and conduct investigation. At that point, we hold the scene until state police got there.
Whenever something like that happens, you drop whatever you're doing and you prepare to be gone for however long it takes to work your case.
Every case I do, I don't care what it is, I investigate it like if it was my family that got victimized. And I make sure that I do everything in my power to try to help that victim. I just remember kissing my husband and daughter goodbye, and I was on my way to Eunice. And during this time that I'm driving, Tim tells me, by the way, this is gonna be your homicide. So I'm like, oh wow, because this is my first homicide investigation. It was a lot of pressure.
At the time that the murder had taken place, it had the appearance of being like a home invasion where someone had entered a home and killed someone. And so immediately there was a little bit of anxiety from the citizens of the city of Eunice and from this area, wondering if there's someone out there on the loose.
I don't even know what I have yet, and I've got to go to the scene, see what's there. But Tim had gotten to Eunice before I did, and he was already speaking with Stephanie.
lot of times in conducting an interview with the wife of someone that has just died, that interview is rather difficult because of the emotions.
You okay?
Yeah, I just have panic attacks and I'm trying not to.
Okay.
It's just get hard to breathe.
All right.
There's been a lot of times that I haven't been successful in conducting that interview that close to the death because of the emotions that run high.
Can you tell me what you did from when you woke up this morning until?
Yes.
Okay.
In a witness victim interview, the goal is to get information from them and the details of the sequence of events.
I got up and went out of my room at 4 o'clock this morning.
At 4? Okay.
And he's been kind of cranky because he hasn't been sleeping good.
Okay, tell me who he is.
Daryl.
Okay, and that's your husband?
No, we're divorced. We were trying to
You're
make
divorced.
it work. Yes.
Stephanie and Daryl Blagg had been divorced, and they had gotten back together in an attempt to reconcile their relationship, and there were plans for them to get remarried at the time of Daryl's death.
So, I don't know what time I called him, but because he told me last night I never wanted to have sex with him or do anything with him. So I said, the kids are going to be gone. I said, instead of coming to the front door, come to the back door, because I'm not going to have nothing on but one of my little nighties.
She wanted them to come in the back door so that, there's going to be a little time for them to, have as a couple.
And I remembered I didn't tell John and Dolly what time to be home. So I went to go find them at the park to tell them what time to be home. Well, they were wet and they wanted to come home and grab a dry shirt and a jacket.
Stephanie and Daryl Blagg's children are John Blagg. I believe he was 15 or 16 at the time. Dally Blagg, who was 12. And then Andrew Blagg, who was 18 years old.
So we get home and his gang truck's there. The front door was unlocked, which is unusual. John said he had to pee, and I said, wait a minute and let me go make sure the bedroom door's shut. And I walked back there, and Daryl was laying there just inside the back door, and there was blood everywhere.
All right, well, just take deep breaths, okay? You got water, right? You don't need anything to eat, or you don't want coffee?
Yeah, I just want my pills.
When Tim was speaking with Stephanie, John and Dally told us, well, yeah, there was a red pickup that kept driving by, all night long.
Who do you think could have done this to your dad?
I don't know, it could have been that guy in that red pickup, but I'm not sure.
We're like, okay, well, what did the red pickup look like? Did you happen to get a license plate? And they just didn't know. But at this point, the red truck was the only lead that we had. The person that killed Daryl Blagg may be driving the red pickup.
He followed my dad home. How do you know? I saw him pull up at the same time my dad did.
When the Daryl Blagg incident took place, it was all over the newspapers. It was on the news. And so people in the community of Eunice were uneasy.
I met with our crime scene team, which was Kevin Massis, and he started walking me through the scene. I could see Daryl just sitting there in a pool of blood. Mr. Blagg got home at 4 o'clock that evening. That's the time he was shot. He was shot multiple times in the face and in the chest. I think we had over 100 pieces of evidence. But with all that evidence, we didn't really have any hard evidence pointing to someone. We were trying to get to the bottom of what had happened. And there was the story of the red pickup that was brought up. And so we searched desperately for every red pickup. And, we went and followed up on every lead that we had. And Tim was still trying to get information from Stephanie.
I got his lunch made like I do every morning.
What'd you make him for lunch?
I made him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, 3 ham sandwiches.
3 ham sandwiches?
And I put a Star Crunch and some other little cake, and I put a bag of brownies and a bag of chocolate chip cookies in there.
Okay. Any idea as to what time you came home and found him?
The only way I would know is if I called his sister.
You called her?
She was the first one I called.
Okay. How come you didn't call 911 the minute you found him?
You know, I'm very bumfuzzled.
Okay.
It's not normal to call a bunch of different people before you call an ambulance. She was able to describe to me every single item that she put in Daryl's lunchbox. But if you're having difficulties relaying the events that occurred a few hours ago, in my experience, you're hiding something for some reason.
Any narcotics involved in the household at all, either with you or him?
No.
Okay. It's just information.
I mean, I tried. I asked her a while back, and we got in a big fight about it, but I mean, no.
Okay. And ice being methamphetamine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you used it since then at all? It's okay. Tell me.
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you used ice?
Just this morning.
Okay.
She was doing drugs, meth, but Daryl was totally against drugs of any kind. He told her in front of everybody, "I'll do what I can to help you. You're my kid's mom."
I still think there's some information that you're not telling me, Stephanie,
There's not.
that would help.
I told you
In this
everything I know.
It wasn't until speaking to Rose Dozier, Daryl's sister, that I realized that Stephanie had a boyfriend.
Do you know of anyone who wants to hurt your brother? She had left for another man. No. Billy, body. Do you know if she still has any contact with him? I've heard rumors that he's been coming around.
He loved her. No matter what she done, it seems like he took her back.
So I tell Tim, there's a little bit more to the story.
Recording again, Stephanie, Demonic Martinez is in here. So, if we can just get this covered real quick, Stephanie. Can you tell me who your ex-boyfriend is? Billy?
Billy Kelly?
Billy Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was he in town today?
Mm-hmm. I came by this morning. And then...
Okay, but this is the first you told me about Billy being there, and I asked you if there was anyone else there.
When Stephanie found out that we knew about Billy Kelly, the story changed a little bit.
He was with my boys at the park.
Oh, he was with your boys at the park. Okay.
Yes. And I had him come back to the house with me. And Billy went back there, and he come back, and he told me that Daryl was back there dead.
I mean, there were definite holes in the story, which made me suspicious as to whether she was being completely honest with me.
There was no red pickup at your house today?
Huh?
The boys tell me.
I did not see no pickup parked in my driveway or anywhere else if there was one parked there, because I just ran out, barefooted, run to tell the kids what time to be home so I could hurry up and get back before Daryl got there. Go get my clothes. Check them. You're not going to find no gun residue because I did not pull no trigger.
Okay, but did Billy?
No. If he did, I wasn't there and I didn't see it.
Okay.
What kind of damn person would take somebody there to kill their ex-husband in front of their kids?
I don't know.
Only a maniac.
I don't know all these answers. That's why we're asking the
No,
question.
I'm third. No.
Okay.
That's just ridiculous. I would not do that.
She didn't want to talk to us without a lawyer after that.
And at that point is when they arrested Stephanie.
While we were conducting the interview with Stephanie, our investigators obtained a search warrant and found methamphetamines in her vehicle, which was the basis for charges against her.
The boys, they're a wreck. They've lost their dad. Their mom's in jail. I was their guardian after that.
It was beneficial to us for her to be incarcerated, which gave us the ability to interview persons that we felt could provide solid information to help resolve the case. Stephanie had relayed that Billy found Daryl deceased. It became very clear that Billy Kelly was a person of interest in this case, and interviewing him was one of our top priorities.
Billy was from Lubbock, so Gary and I went to Lubbock.
Tell us a little bit about how you know the Black family.
Well, me and Stephanie, after her and Daryl got a divorce, we was engaged to be married.
You know, we wanted to know more about what he was doing that day and actually try to understand his relationship with Stephanie.
Did you know Daryl?
Yes. He hates me with a passion. Him and Stephanie separated. So I put a tattoo on her ankle. And it was my initials.
You put your initials on her toes. You don't think he has a right to be mad?
I got her all over me.
He basically had tattoos of something, regarding Stephanie all over his body.
So what time did you get at the house?
I'm gonna say about 4:30. Me and the kids would go to the park, and then we drove around for a little while because it was raining. And then I needed gas in the car, so we pulled up at Allsup's.
Billy said he was at Allsup's. So then there's something else that you can, jot down to go follow up on.
And then Stephanie called me on my cell phone. She goes, "Let's go back to the house." I said, "All right." I said, "I need to use the bathroom anyway." And so as I went in there, and then that's when I seen Daryl laying there. And then John said, "Well, let me have the phone so I can call the police." She goes, "No, we have to get Billy out of here. Billy's here, they're gonna blame Billy." And so John kind of pushes the screen off the kitchen window, and I go out.
Why did Billy Kelly crawl out of the kitchen window instead of going out the front door? I don't know.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. Okay. I think you did something. I think you were.
You think I did something?
Yeah. I don't know if it was love or infatuation or what it was, but he just seemed like he would do anything for her.
You love this woman. You're not gonna just cower away and let them sort out their problems, right? You want to be part of this family.
You want to take care of her.
You want to be there.
Yeah, I want to be there. I mean,
do you understand though how it looks?
Yes, I do. But you are barking up the wrong leg with me. I did not do it.
No.
I was not at that house when he got shot.
Come on, brother. We're not stupid, brother.
I'm not saying you are stupid, but don't sit there and tell me I'm a killer and that I got the weapon. I moved the body because I didn't. You're pissing me off.
How am I making you mad?
Because you're sitting there telling me I was there, I done it.
Well, was you?
No, I was not. I done sat here and told you 3 times that I wasn't there.
Speaking with Billy, it was pretty clear cut that things aren't adding up.
You're sneaking around, and you were with her when he died.
No, I was not.
Even though he didn't come out right and say he was involved somehow, we still kind of had this adrenaline rush that we were on the right track.
This is over. It's done.
Because of the confrontational interview with Billy Kelly and unclear information that Stephanie Blagg gave about her sequence of events that day, it became apparent that Stephanie Blagg and Billy Kelly had some involvement in the death of Daryl Blagg. What that role was the big question.
We went and followed up on every lead that we had, like the story of the red pickup. We realized that was actually Daryl Blagg's coworker forgot his wallet at the house, and he drove up in his red pickup to go get his wallet.
And so we were able to eliminate the red pickup truck as a vehicle of interest, and even the driver as a person of interest, which kind of took us back to square one. While we were continuing the investigation of Daryl Blagg's murder, Stephanie Blagg was in custody for possession of methamphetamines. And the reason she stayed in custody was because she was not able to make bail. But she wasn't going to talk to me further without a lawyer being present.
Hello, this is a collect call from Stephanie.
Once Stephanie was in jail, she made tons of calls.
She made a lot of calls to Billy Kelly as well as numerous calls to her children.
I want to ask you a question.
What, baby?
Did you have anything to do with it at all?
No, baby, I did not have your daddy killed. I did not kill him, baby, I didn't.
No lies at all.
No, baby, I didn't.
Is Billy?
No, son, Billy was with your brother, talking.
what I have to know.
Whatever, you don't believe me, tell your brothers I love them, okay?
Stephanie's own son, Andrew, questioning Stephanie's innocence, that prompted us to bring in Andrew's younger brothers, Dally and John. Because John and Dally Blagg were with Stephanie and Billy Kelly when Daryl's body was found at their house.
So you go to the park, you and Dally go to the park.
Yes, sir.
And then what did you do?
We went and started walking home.
Okay. Was there anybody else there that day?
Yeah, that Mexican guy that we don't know whose name it was.
A Mexican guy?
Yes, sir.
We now have discovered an unidentified person that was with Stephanie Blagg the day Daryl was murdered.
And what do you think he was doing at your house that day?
I don't know.
And you don't remember his name?
I think it starts with a J.
My mom was there. She told us that we wasn't supposed to be back yet. By the time I get by her bedroom door, it was open, and her and that Mexican guy were walking out.
Any idea what they were doing?
Dally seen them messing with the guns.
We did forensic testing on both Stephanie Blagg and Billy Kelly for gunshot residue. Those tests came back inconclusive. It could mean a couple of things. One, we didn't gather that evidence quickly enough, and they were able to get that gunshot residue removed or washed from their hands. Or it meant that they hadn't fired a gun.
Now we know John and Dally saw this Mexican guy looking at guns with their mom. Our thesis was that Stephanie had hired someone to kill Daryl Blagg. We just didn't know who it was.
So now we've got this unidentified person that his name begins with a J, and that's not a lot of information to go on.
This call is subject to monitoring and recording.
Oh, you know that Mexican guy that was over here?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that was with you when me and Dally came back from the park.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
They're trying to find him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I can't think of his name.
I think her denying that this third person even existed was her way to be consistent with what she told her children, and she needed them to believe that she was innocent of any involvement in their dad's death.
They're asking me the same questions over and over and over.
If they call you back down there and question you again, you tell them you're not saying a word. If there ain't no lawyer there, don't say nothing. Come go to hell.
They knew that they needed to not talk to the police, and they needed to keep Mom's secret.
I forgot who it was, but they said you hired somebody for Dad's paycheck.
Hired somebody to do what for Dad's paycheck?
Kill him?
Baby, I did not hire nobody to kill your daddy. Who said that?
I don't remember who it was.
That's not true.
There was an individual that was in jail, a cellmate, that had been talking to Stephanie and had information in reference to the Blagg homicide. This individual's name was Stacy Meredith.
Mrs. Blagg had made some comments to her that she had hidden a handgun along with some clothing that she was wearing during the incident. We were told it was near a church.
Stacy came to us and said, I'm willing to testify. I'm willing to bring her to the location. I'm willing to help you guys set her up. But I've got these theft charges. Would you help me get out of jail?
Stephanie had made the request that if Stacy gets out, that she bond out Stephanie so that they could go and get this murder weapon. We decided to make that happen.
We asked the judge to please let Stacy Meredith out to help us.
Jailhouse snitches are not really reliable people. They're trying to work out a way, to make their problems less. They have a motive, to lie.
Stephanie gets bailed out of jail by Stacy Meredith. We took a big gamble, saying, okay, we hope that Stacy, comes through on her promise and that she convinces Stephanie to go and look for the guns. Because if she doesn't, then we don't have much to go on. We took a big gamble. We hope that Stacy, comes through on her promise and that she convinces Stephanie to go and look for the guns.
set up a vehicle and recording devices and some good surveillance to make certain that Stacy Meredith was going to be safe and protected.
There was a group of us, and we were taking turns leapfrogging each other to where we wouldn't be noticed by Mrs. Blagg. My primary role was to keep eyes on them and to try to locate the possible murder weapon. As they initially got out of the vehicle and started looking around, it seemed like she knew exactly what she was doing. But then she couldn't find what she was looking for, and so, they wandered around the church and around the side of some buildings and homes over in that area, like they thought they were Navy SEALs seeking Bin Laden or something, I mean, it was like something out of a weird movie.
She didn't actually get a weapon from the church or near the church or anything. They didn't left, and we had officers that pulled them over and took Stephanie back into custody. I was disappointed that Stephanie wasn't able to find the gun or the murder weapon or exactly what she was looking for, but Stephanie's actions solidified her involvement in the death of Darrell Blagg for us. And she was charged with an open count of murder after the surveillance operation.
Why she went through these theatrics is anybody's guess. There's no way they could pin this on her because who actually pulled the trigger? It was an open question.
Daddy?
Hello?
They charged me with murder.
Did they?
Some black girl in here wanted out, so she called the cops and told them a bunch of lies, and they let her out. They've got no damn hard evidence on me.
Yeah?
All they've got is a damn black girl that wanted out of jail.
We re-interviewed Stacy Meredith. Stacy told me that Stephanie had hired this Mexican guy to kill her husband. She gave me the first name of Juan. Juan is a very common name for the Hispanic people over here in this area.
We had somebody else out there that we needed to get identified, but trying to figure out who this individual was difficult.
And so things got stagnant.
Mentally and physically, I was exhausted. Anybody get a tip, they would call me. I would call Monica.
Rose calls me out of the blue, and she said, there's a kid, his name's David Pena. He wants to talk to you. I understand that you have some information for me on Darrell Blagg's murder.
At the time, there was the guy that was involved. He was staying with me.
Who's that?
Johnny.
Murrow? Okay. David calls him Johnny Murrow, which, obviously translates to Juan. So at that point, I remember my heart was beating really fast, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, we know who Juan is. Did you see Stephanie that day, Miss Black?
Yes, I saw her pick him up and drop him off.
So she picked him up at your address.
And just a couple hours later, he gets dropped off, and he's carrying a bloody shirt full of guns. And he said, I just shot someone. And he goes, I need to ride to Hobbs. Can you give me a ride? I was like, he had all kinds of guns. So I gave him a ride to Hobbs, and we met up with Billy. And he got all of his guns and everything out of my car and put him in Billy's car, and he jumped in with Billy, and they left from there.
Why are you coming forward now? After all this time.
I would have came forward sooner, but Johnny made me swear, to my life that I wouldn't say anything, because more likely he'd do it to me too.
What did he tell you?
That if I say anything, it wouldn't be too hard to get rid of me.
When I met David, he was like 18-year-old kid, and he was really scared. He was there simply because he was trying to do the right thing.
I've worked with Mr. Blagg, he was a great man.
Well, I really appreciate you coming forward and talking to me. Now I know his name, but who knows where Juan is right now. In May of 2008, one of our narcotics agents, confidential informants, had said, hey, that guy Juan you're looking for, he's over here working out on this rig. Stephanie's still in jail. So we went out and we arrested him. And I said, but, do you want to talk to me? And he says, yeah. He goes, I want to know what this is about.
Hi, Mr. Mo. Here, I brought you some water. Thank you. It is hot outside today.
Yes, ma'am, it is. The case against Juan Muro was circumstantial. We had no murder weapon. We had no physical evidence actually linking him to the murder scene. Getting a confession from Juan Muro was key to being able to charge him.
I remember just being very nervous and thinking, okay, I've got to get this guy to tell me everything. And I just kept thinking, how am I going to do that?
Okay, Mr. Merle, basically what's going on is we have a murder warrant for your arrest. Okay?
I felt a lot of pressure because not only am I in the room with him, but I actually have Tim and my sergeant watching me.
David Pena, a kid that I guess apparently you stayed at his house with his mother.
Right.
He has come forward and given us a statement. So the reason I'm here is, have you ever played poker?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right now I feel like I have
The winning hand.
the winning hand. Okay.
I'm trying to sit in there and strategize about, okay, if I go in there like Law and Order, and I try to be mean to him, I'm not going to get anywhere with this guy. I'm going to have to, kill him with kindness.
So, that's what I'm saying, Mr. Murrow, I feel sorry for you right now. Because I know that, everybody's against you.
Right.
Okay?
You know what it is? It's like this. Everybody looks at my tattoos, everybody thinks just because I come from a big city I'm a gangster, whatever. I'm not a gangster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Being in the interview room, knowing that confession is going to make this case, there was a lot of pressure on Monica.
I'm sorry to cuss. It's just
No,
right now,
I cuss
my nerves are all tore up to hell because I'm not going to go down for this murder.
Okay.
We had been going for probably like an hour.
We can make a phone call.
Who do you need to call?
At that point, I thought he was trying to invoke his right.
I guess I'm going to need my lawyer for this one.
I knew that if I messed up with Juan in any way, I could end up losing the case.
Do you want a lawyer now? Is that what you're asking?
No, I don't want to talk about this. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
I thought that Juan was going to tell me I want an attorney, so it surprised me when he still wanted to speak with me.
I don't understand, because this is like, this is something big for me here.
I know. It's a big
my
deal.
life here,
Yeah, we're talking about
I was
possible death penalty.
Yes.
Without the confession, this case is much more difficult to prove. And so there was tons of pressure on Monica in that interview room. Tons of pressure.
Why would David say, though, that you conspired with Stephanie and that she had asked you to kill her husband? We're talking about your life here, Mr. Merle. We're talking about your life.
I'm not telling you everything.
Okay.
I didn't plan to get involved in this. I went there to get high and fix some up, and
you were there.
And it was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Monica used the stair-step approach where you get them to admit just a little bit more of the truth in baby steps going up the stairs, and then once that comes out of their mouth, they can't go back down.
So I came down to get some meth from Stephanie.
Okay.
Right. When I picked up my meth, I was in the front, the boys came in, and Billy was there.
Okay.
I went to the living room this way. Someone came into the back door and shots were fired. I hit the floor. Stephanie started yelling.
Okay. Who was in the house when shots were fired?
Me and Billy and Stephanie.
Stephanie. Okay.
And when that happened, I took off. Boom.
And again, that stair-step approach, he can't now go back from being at the scene.
And then next thing you know, Stephanie's taking me back to my house. She gave me a couple guns to sell. I said, cool.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I was there when that happened. I didn't pull the trigger.
Okay.
You know, okay.
Who pulled the trigger then?
Billy did.
Billy pulled the trigger.
Yes.
Okay.
At that point in time, the time of death of Daryl was narrowed down, pretty precisely.
Okay, you know that over here there's an Allsup's.
Yes.
And around, I guess it's about 5 minutes to 4, because of those surveillance video. Dally and John, okay, are with Billy, and they're trying to put gas at the pumps. Okay. About that time, Mr. Black drives by in his game truck. So if Billy was there with the boys, that makes only you and Stephanie there at the house. So how could Billy have shot him? Do you need some more water?
Please.
Do you need to take a break? No.
From his posture and body language, I could tell that he was like, I'm all out of stories. And I'm thinking, okay, Monica, you got him. You just need a little more time. And ultimately, I ended up convincing Tim just to come in there with me.
Sometimes just taking a small little break and another agent coming in and helping pick up right where they left off can get them right through that door.
So who are you saying shot Daryl Black?
Billy.
Okay. The problem I have with that is Billy wasn't at the house.
See, Johnny, we have video.
We got video from all sorts.
I was loaded some on meth, dude, that wasn't planned to happen, dude.
Well, then just tell us exactly what happened.
It's okay, man.
What did you shoot him with?
Whatever gun they gave me.
Okay.
They knew I was hurting for meth. It wasn't.
Did you get paid to do it? If
No,
that's
I didn't get
what
paid.
happened,
I didn't get paid.
just say it.
I didn't get paid. It's just they said they give me high.
Just to get rid of him?
Yes.
Okay.
I got 2 bowls of meth. And
that's all you got. And the guns.
Some meth and a few guns. It was the value of a life.
What did Stephanie tell you how this was?
She asked me the same way Billy said. They all came up with the same story about shooting him once in the head and making it seem like a suicide.
It's hard to make it suicide if the guy's got 5 bullet holes in him. But the people involved in this case never did anything that was even remotely what you'd consider normal.
It wasn't me, you know what I mean? I was there, but I was too messed up on the drugs. That's not me.
Okay. So, bottom line is you killed Daryl Black for some meth. Had you ever met Daryl Black before?
No.
No?
You try to make sense of what's senseless. I'd like to tell Juan, Billy, and Stephanie all. I hope someday they realize how unnecessary it was to take him.
That was a hard thing to lose, because he was such a good friend. You don't find them like him anymore.
It felt rather good that we had moved justice in the right direction for Daryl Black. With Juan's confession, we had enough to seek a murder conviction for both Billy Kelly and Stephanie Black.
My immediate supervisor, he made the decision to do plea agreements with Stephanie Black and Billy Kelly. Each one of them got 9 years. Then they had to testify against Juan Murrow.
Sometimes in the criminal justice system, a sure thing is better than an unknown. Making a deal with Stephanie Black and Billy Kelly to testify against Juan Murrow is a strategy by the prosecution to ensure that the one that actually killed Daryl would be convicted and put in prison.
The jury verdict came out second-degree murder. Needless to say, I was not happy with that. To end this man's life for a couple of bowls of methamphetamine, it was just wrong.
Stephanie was really the one that had all the gumption to do what she did. Everybody just kind of went along with it. And it's just tragic what happened to Dally and John years later. You can't make this stuff up.
Stephanie Blagg wanted to sit down with her children and explain the plea that she was taking and essentially her involvement in the death of Daryl Blagg, their father.
I didn't pull the trigger, but I hired somebody to kill Dad. I'm sorry. You boys don't know how sorry I am.
What was the reason why?
Some of the things about this case don't make sense to a normal human being, but you have to understand that they were using meth, and meth clouded their judgment on a lot of things as far as what they did.
Why do you have to take our dad away from us?
I don't know. I was scared to face him, to tell him I was strung out.
One bad decision that Stephanie decided to make really changed the entire course of their existence, of the entire family.
John, he was into the drugs to the point that he was in trouble with the law constantly and got killed in a car wreck. And after he got killed, then that's when Dally really went downhill. And he goes down in the basement one night and hangs himself. They were both 19 years old when they died. Myself, I blame her for their death as easily as I do my brothers.
Daryl was just an outstanding guy, full of life, happy all the time. He was just full of energy, I tell you. You'll never find another Daryl.
Here's what I wrote for Daryl. With tears in my eyes, I said goodbye, knowing that I will see you again when I die. With tears in my eyes, I held your hand, saying, tell Mama hello when you get to the promised land. With tears in my eyes, I still call your name. Life will never be the same. I couldn't function for a while, and then I realized I know I'll see him again someday.
For more about Criminal Confessions, go to oxygen.com.
What is the emergency?
I've been shot.
How were you shot, sir?
Well, I don't know. The gun just went off.
Shane Hill said that he had accidentally shot himself.
He lived his life for his children and for his wife.
Is this a tragic case where somebody just accidentally shot themselves, or is this something more nefarious where we need to start asking some questions?
Shane's wife had had an affair.
And I just wish he wouldn't come home.
A confession in a case like this ultimately is huge. Through time and experience, you know that you have to push harder.
I didn't shoot him, Kenny.
Like a baseball bat to the face, it hit me. Somebody's not telling the truth.
What is the emergency?
I've been shot. I shot myself. I don't know. The gun just went off.
You've been shot. What's your location? Your location?
I'm South Ogden, on E57, westbound, 2.5 miles on a sheep farm. I was going after a dog and my gun went off, and I can't move. Please hurry, please.
What kind of gun did you have? What kind of gun did you shoot yourself with?
A 1911 45. I got a 45. It's a 45 bullet. I don't know where it is. They ricocheted off the ground.
It's going to be a self-inflicted accident.
My back hurts really, really bad. Please hurry. I can't move my legs at all. Please,
Okay, stay on it. The first 911 call was dropped. So when he called back again, that signal got picked up by our bordering county tower. So I went to their 911, not ours.
911 emergency.
Yeah, I shot myself. My phone just went dead. Please get that guy back on the phone.
He was assuming he was talking to us again, which he wasn't.
Are you in Greene County, sir?
I don't know.
Sir? Sir? Stay with me, sir. Stay with me. Boone County, Greene County, point to point, 1033, Boone County.
I heard the call come over the radio on May 28th. The victim, Shane Hill, said that he had accidentally shot himself. It took me 11 minutes to get there, which is a long time. I got out of my car and I looked over the gate and I could see a body and a gun. And then I grabbed my medical kit and I climbed the gate and ran down. Ogden First Responders, which is a volunteer medical unit, showed up shortly thereafter. They tried initiating advanced life support. Then another man, John, showed up. He's a friend of Shane Hill. Shane called John and said that he had accidentally shot himself, and John drove over. He had called Shane's wife, Jessica, and mother, Patty Hill. Slow down, they're working on him. Slow down. Yes, I understand, but you need to slow down, ma'am.
I seen Shane laying on the ground next to the tractor, laying on his back, and the paramedics were working on him.
Oh, God, no! Please, Shane, no, man! Oh, God,
I know it's tough, but I need you to step back here.
Oh, my God.
They finally hollered at us and told us if we wanted to see him, we needed to go do it then because they called the doctor and the doctor said they was going to have to let him go. So they did.
Are you sure you want? I understand. You want to go over there? You want to wait till we get him brought up? Hang on, just let me. Jessica, Shane's wife, was almost hyperventilating. She was just so upset. She wanted to see Shane, and she ran her hands over his head and was mentioning how she didn't know what she was going to tell the children.
Shane was very close with his kids. He lived his life for his children and for his wife. And he did a lot with them. He did a lot of fishing. He took them on horseback rides all the time. They went camping a lot. Shane always loved to camp. Shane was a wonderful guy, and he did have a very big heart.
Shane was very soft-spoken, kind, do anything for anyone. Me and Shane knew each other from the time we was 15 years old. We'd go out and fishing all the time. We were best friends.
The victim's name was Michael Shane Hill. I had known Shane Hill. I knew his mother. I knew his father. It's not uncommon, when you live in a county this size, just about anywhere you went, everybody knew who you were. When I first got there were a lot of people there, friends of the family, family members. There were still paramedics. And I asked to move everybody out of that area because until I know it's not a crime scene, it's a crime scene. I didn't want any evidence leaving or any evidence coming in that wasn't already there.
We should be able to find a shell somewhere because it's an automatic. Is this where he was sitting? He's right-handed. That's his holster. So it makes me wonder why on that other side. That's strange. It came in as an accidental shooting. But it sounded strange, and it looked even stranger. There was a large wound in the upper part of his left shoulder. I assume that was an exit wound. And there was a bullet wound in his lower back.
Shane Hill called 911 and said that he'd accidentally shot himself. He thought he'd been hit with a ricochet round. How it could have done the acrobatics to hit him in the back was beyond me. I thought that this may be more than an accidental shooting. I called the Department of Criminal Investigation for the state of Iowa.
They have a lot more expertise, so if it's unexplained deaths, we call DCI.
Special Agent Terry Kalman arrived at the scene.
So the reason for Shane or anybody that is working at a sheep farm in rural Iowa to carry a handgun or any gun with them is to protect the herd. In these areas, you're gonna see coyotes or feral dogs show up. In that first 911 call, I believe he does say that he was taking a shot at a dog. There was, in fact, a fresh shell casing there from his gun that was about 50 yards away from where he was found. That would fall in place to what he was saying, that he'd actually pulled it from his holster and fired it. The question obviously came up is, how do you do that? How do you accidentally shoot yourself in the back with a handgun? Could it have ricocheted the bullet off another thing? Yeah, there are plenty of things out of that farm field that are made of metal that would, perfectly ricochet a bullet back into somebody. Is this a tragic case where somebody just accidentally shot themselves, or is this something more nefarious where we need to start asking some questions? During the course of the autopsy, Dr. Klein, the medical examiner, looked at that bullet wound in the back, thought it was enough to cause the fatal injuries.
His autopsy showed us the bullet seemed to travel into his insides quite a way and had fragmented a lot. Shane Hill had been carrying a Springfield .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun. It was Dr. Klein's experience that .45 caliber rounds did not fragment like that.
The shoulder wound obviously gave us the most trouble. Dr. Klein's initial thought was, this kind of looks like shrapnel, but there's also talk of, could that wound come from him just wrestling around on the ground because of his injury?
This autopsy has not been conclusive. We can't say it's a homicide. We can't say it's an accident. We need to dig into this further.
We had gotten the second 911 call in. So after the autopsy, I listened to that multiple times.
Are you in Greene County, sir?
I don't know.
About the 9th or 10th time that I'm listening to this call,
Sir?
I don't know.
like a baseball bat to the face, it hit me that this is another gunshot. Shane had called 911 and said that he had accidentally shot himself with his own gun. But we're looking at injuries that don't really even match up to that. And now we have a second gunshot. I believe he's in shock. He's in obviously a lot of pain. So he doesn't know what happened. And he's logically in his mind trying to explain to a 911 operator what happened to him. But he believes he is the only one at this rural farm. And the only explanation he can come up with is, I think I shot myself. But he was being shot at 2 times. It's no longer an accidental case. And I heard that gunshot for the first time, or identified it. It was like a pit in the bottom of your stomach kind of thing. Like, we definitely have a murder case here. Shane Hill was shot and killed.
My husband, Jim, and I and Jessica went in for questioning. Of course, they questioned each one of us separately. We never believed Shane had been murdered until they told us that. And of course, Jim and I broke down. It was horrible.
I'd asked James and Patty if there was anybody they suspected that might have any part in Shane's death. And they did bring up the fact that Jessica had had an affair with a young man by the name of Danny Blair.
The same question was asked to all the family members, and Jessica mentioned that there had been an affair with Dan Blair 3 years prior to this incident taking place, but that was all water under the bridge, and she hadn't even seen Dan Blair for a number of years.
There has been an extramarital affair we could have rekindled. It could still be going on. Yeah, it needed to be investigated.
Shane and Danny did everything together. They claimed each other as brothers until Shane caught Jessica and Danny in bed together. Jessica and Danny ended up moving in together, and after 4 months, she finally begged Shane to take her back. After that, Shane and Danny didn't speak for a very long time, probably a year. And then one day they decided it was okay to go hunting together again. I think Shane wanted his buddy back. They've been friends for years before Jesse was ever in the picture. So Danny didn't kill him. Danny couldn't have done it.
I went to the home of Daniel Blair here in Boone, Iowa. I asked Daniel if he would be able to accompany me to the sheriff's office, and he came in voluntarily of his own free will. You understand that if any time you want to stop answering questions or walk out of here, you're free to do so?
Yep.
When did you find out Shane Hill?
1 o'clock.
Who told you that?
My mom called me.
You ever had any reason to dislike Shane Hill?
No, not really.
You ever gotten any physical altercations with him?
3 years ago, when he got me with his wife.
Can you tell me about that?
Me and his wife, we were kissing, and he saw us, and he...
Was there a little more to kissing? Had you had sexual intercourse with her?
Not that day, no. But
had you previous to that?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys think about getting back together?
No.
Has she discussed the future of your relationship at all?
No.
Dan denied any ongoing relationship with Jessica Hill. Did you have anything to do with the death of Shane Hill?
No.
You know, a lot of times people that are coming in to talk to you, if they've got something to hide, they're rather nervous. They won't talk to you. Danny didn't put up any of those barriers. For a crime to be committed, you need two things in harmony. You need a motive and an opportunity. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I need the truth and not any lies or any fabrications. We needed to find out where he was at on that day, kind of lock him into a statement. You know, if he's got nothing to hide, he's got nothing to worry about. What did you do on Monday?
I slept. I was home pretty much by myself. Aaron was there early morning.
Your roommate, what's his name again?
Aaron Moss. Noon, 12:15, he came back. We went up to Wilson to shoot a couple games of pool.
Put himself at different locations, gave me the names of several different people that could vouch for him. I've locked him into a time and place where he said he's been. Well, I got nothing else to ask you. I just hope that you've been truthful.
I have been.
No red flags popped up. He didn't seem to be, culpable for the murder. I didn't think it was real possible that he had been involved. All right, we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to give you a ride back home.
Okay.
Detective Kendall called me and gave me Dan Blair's explanation as to where he was and how he wasn't involved in anything to do with Shane's death. We just kind of let that story rest with us for a while, and we'd follow back up with it if needed.
Boone County Communications.
Yes, is Kenneth Kendall in, please? I need to speak to him as soon as possible.
This is Sergeant Kendall. Can I help you?
Yes, Mr. Kendall, this is Patricia Hill.
Yes.
Hill's mother?
Yes.
You know, I just got on the internet on my son's computer.
Yes.
And I'm very concerned because you remember me telling you about this Danny Blair?
Yes.
That was with his wife?
Yep.
There is emails on there from him to my daughter-in-law telling her how much he loved her, he missed her, giving her hugs and kisses. I am really concerned with this.
How recently was
it? Was this morning. The date is this morning.
On May 31st, 2007, a little after 2:30 p.m., I received a call from Patty Hill telling me that she had been looking on Shane's laptop computer. She had found some text messages between Jessica Hill and Dan Blair.
How recently was
it? Was this morning. The date is this morning. Yeah, when I saw the laptop and read what was on it from Danny and Jessica, I got angry, got very, very angry. But at the same time, I can't see them, either one, wanting Shane dead.
Yeah, bring that in here and I will get a hold of Agent Kalman.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
These messages were in direct conflict with the information that we had already gotten with previous interviews of Dan and Jessica about their relationship.
You guys think about getting back together?
No.
Has she discussed the future of your relationship at all?
No.
Jessica and Dan had told us this affair was long done.
Somebody's not telling the truth. We had two experienced agents in Brett Braffart and Matt Sauer that had known some of the developing facts of this case. Both are skilled investigators and good interviewers.
You want to sit right there?
Jessica Hill was not necessarily a suspect in the investigation, but with her providing us information that was not necessarily accurate, we have to start digging into it. We want Jessica to help us get to the truth.
I know that they talked to you the other day about your relationship with Dan Blair.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we kind of go over that again?
My husband and I split up. Basically, I left him for his best friend.
And what year was that?
It's been about 2.5 years, so 05. And then Shane and I got back together. Dan and I did talk periodically after that for the 2 years. I really didn't go over and see him. He always knew that I choose Shane over him.
And reasonably, the relationship was a little more than what you're talking about here.
I think she saw the fact that we knew about the relationship, so she might as well talk about it.
About 4 months ago, I contacted him again. We did get together once.
When was that?
2, maybe 3 months ago. I'm not exactly sure.
How often have you been talking to him? Say the last 6 months.
Maybe once a week. I did bitch to him a lot when Shane and I were having problems.
Okay. What would you complain about, or?
Oh, him being an ass. Not being grateful, and a lot of verbal abuse that nobody ever saw.
She was portraying herself as the victim. We didn't know what kind of relationship they had. We just accepted that as her side of the story.
Why do you think somebody would say that you and Dan may have conspired to do this?
I have no idea. It's something that you always say when you're mad at someone, kind of, it's just so much easier. You know?
Have you ever said something like
I
that?
have said things like that.
What exactly have you said?
And I just wish he wouldn't come home.
What conversations have you had with Dan about wishing Shane would not come home?
It's one of those things that you don't really mean, but you say.
She was just finally getting over this hump and saying, yeah, we had some pretty serious conversations. She had a desire for him to disappear, but she really made light of it. She just kind of made it seem like it was just something that was benign.
I said something like, it'd be just so much easier if he just never came home. And I think he said, you better be careful what you wish for. I said, why do you say that? He said, you gotta be careful what you wish for.
Once we put minimal pressure on her, she was willing to kind of lead us in the direction of Dan without implicating herself.
How many times do you think you've had this specific conversation with him about wishing Shane would not come home?
Multiple.
The number of times that she talked about wishing her husband were no longer around made us comfortable that she was truly part of the plan to eliminate her husband. That was a big step forward in the interview.
I think we should take a break real quick, and then I'd like to talk to you a little bit more. Okay?
Through time and experience, you know that you have to push harder. So I put the chair with the wheels in a position where I could wheel up close to her and went into more interrogation mode than interview mode.
You talked over and over and over about what you wanted to happen. Okay? And that's what happened.
I'll talk softer just so they have to pay attention and they have to listen. It's a technique to show that you're serious about this, that this is not going away.
You know that the conversations that you've had with Dan were to put this in place.
But it was just me venting that.
Jesse, listen to me, okay? You know that that's not the complete truth, okay?
She continues to try to minimize her knowledge to make me believe she had a minimal part in it. I think she realizes in that moment that we know it wasn't just a coincidence. We think they conspired to kill her husband.
This is something that you've been wishing for.
Someday.
Someday. And Monday was the day. You set the motions into play.
I did. I told him he left, and I told him
and you knew that
he was driving the car.
The morning that Shane was killed. Jessica sent a message to Dan that her husband had just left the house, and this is the vehicle that he's driving.
I do not know who pulled the trigger. I do not know what kind of gun it was.
But you do know that Dan was there.
Yes.
She felt she was helping the investigation and pushing any suspicion away from her towards Dan Blair.
She was cooperative. It was the end of the interview. She was going to go home.
We didn't feel that she was going to take off. We wanted to get some corroborating information from Dan and before she was arrested.
I don't think Shane ever suspected anything. I think he trusted Danny and Jesse wholeheartedly. He lived and loved and died for her.
Danny's been interviewed once. We know what story Danny's presented to us. Danny's locked into this story. We now know that there's evidence contrary to that. It's Danny's turn to explain this to us.
This is not something that I think that you saw yourself involved in. Okay? But I think that you allowed your emotions, your love for Jessica. Okay? You love Jessica, don't you?
I've always loved her.
Okay.
There's a lot of pressure going in, especially when you know that there's not a lot of physical evidence that's, at this point, tying any of the suspects to the case. A confession in a case like this ultimately is huge for the jury to convict them.
I couldn't shoot Shane. Okay. Because even though we had our problems, I still love him like a brother.
Okay. Who did you have shoot Shane then?
I didn't have no one.
Who was with you at the farm that morning?
I wasn't at the farm.
Daniel, listen to me. Okay? Those excuses are out. Okay? There's no question where you were. You've talked about this before. You discussed it with Jessica. There is all sorts of information that you guys discussed back and forth. And a lot of it is on the computer. A lot of it's on the phone.
We start to tell him what the agents have found out from talking with Jessica about the laptop. I said, you're the one that's got the answers, Dan. You need to talk to us. So let's start at the beginning. Dan, when was this set up? When did this planning start?
There was no planning.
Dan, this thing's not going to go away.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Let's start at the top, Dan. When did this go from a thought to a plan?
Like I said, there really was no planning. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we decided in the gun.
Okay, who's we?
Me and her.
We knew very little about Dan Blair's roommate when this all started to unfold that evening, but as more information came in, we got to know him as Aaron Moss, and Aaron was described as just his loyal friend that would go with Dan wherever he wanted to go.
This situation that you're in, okay, it's like a weight weighing down on your shoulders that is not going to go away.
He's going to live with this for the rest of his life. He needs to deal with it. The first thing he needs to do is admit it. And that's the kind of the psychology I took with Danny. What you've done is done. It's time now for you to be a biggie boy and tell us exactly what happened. I'm not going to think less of you, Dan. In fact, I'd probably think more of you. Because you know what? You were a big boy and you stood up and you told me what you did. Now, Dan, tell me what happened down at the farm.
I was driving a car.
What car?
Aaron's.
Okay.
And Aaron is the one that pulled the trigger.
He would indicate to us that his roommate, Aaron Moss, was there, and Aaron had shot Shane in the back. But I didn't believe him. I think it's pretty damn sad, Dan, when you can take somebody's life and not stand up and be accountable for it.
I didn't shoot him, Kenny.
Who did?
Aaron did.
So now why would Aaron have any reason to shoot and kill Michael Shane Hill? Because A, you told him to, Or B, he didn't do it.
Aaron goes, don't worry about it, brother, I got you. That's a big gotcha.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge gotcha.
Yeah, that's got your back good.
I don't think I have any friends. They got my back that good.
No.
I have a lot of good friends.
Dan said he had talked Aaron into helping him. Talk about a loyal friend.
Did Jessica say to you that she didn't want him to come home? In a text message? And did you answer back, don't worry, he won't? I can't hear a head nod.
Yeah.
Dan slowly started to wilt. He didn't know what to say. He was like, oh crap, these guys have figured this out. You were both at the farm? Now wait a minute, let's not minimize. Were you both at the farm?
I dropped him off.
Where'd you drop him off at?
At the front gate.
There was a number of different times where he provided just a little bit more, those little pieces. Once you get to one segment, then you can move to the next one. And once you get past a certain point, there's no return.
You were at the farm. Right? I can't hear a head shake. Yes or no?
Yes.
You were at the farm when Michael Shane Hill got shot. Right?
Right.
Dan Blair's story did start to turn a little bit as far as his involvement with the death of Shane Hill and where he was and what he was doing. He eventually does put himself out there at the farm, but he tries to minimize his involvement in it and says that his friend and roommate Aaron Moss is actually the person that pulled the trigger.
Dan, you went there knowing that Michael Shane Hill was going to die. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Dan Blair confessed to being there when Shane Hill died. But Dan wouldn't admit to having shot Shane in the back. At the end of the day, it didn't matter. He went there with a motive and the opportunity to commit that crime, and it happened. A murder was committed. What's going to happen when Aaron Moss is talked to? Do you suppose maybe we've separated the two of you? Maybe he's telling us a completely different story?
We brought Aaron Moss to the sheriff's office. We wanted Dan's side of the story, we wanted Aaron's side of the story, and they spoke to separate detectives at the very same time.
I need to know the honest truth. Who pulled that trigger?
Alright.
Why would Daniel implicate you in taking Shane out? I don't know.
Is Aaron going to tell us that?
You gonna go down for it? I didn't do anything. I ain't going out for nothing.
Or is Aaron going to tell us Dan did it?
What's your relationship with Shane? Didn't know the guy. How long have you known Dan?
Since 5th grade.
Consider him your best friend?
Not best friend, but good friend.
You live with him now?
Yeah.
How long have you lived with him?
About a month.
Dan Blair's interview was in a standard interview room at the sheriff's office that was capable of audio and video capability. We had to use another room at the sheriff's office at the same time that didn't have that capability, so we were not able to videotape Aaron's interview.
How long have you known Jessica?
A month.
Was there any talk from Jessica and Dan about getting rid of Shane?
Yep.
You mind telling me what you know?
I don't know anything.
What kind of gun is it?
30-06.
30-06. Okay, got a scope on it?
Yeah.
We borrowed a 30-06. We did some target shooting, and that was it.
When did you borrow that?
2-3 weeks ago.
Who'd you borrow that from?
Dan's parents.
Jessica knew about the gun. Yeah.
Jessica knew about a gun, but she told Dan via text message when Shane left and what Shane was driving. She set this in motion. Take her out of this picture, and Shane Hill is still alive.
When did you guys start making the plans to use the gun?
That was all up to Aaron.
Why would Daniel implicate you in taking Shane out?
I don't know.
You gonna go down for it?
I didn't do anything. I ain't going out for nothing.
What kind of car did you take out there that day? Aaron's car? What kind of vehicles you drive? 92 Cavalier. Color? Teal. Two-door? Yep. The investigation has turned big time. We've got people talking about conspiracies, and your name keeps popping up. And you're sitting here telling me you don't know anything. Your so-called friend over there, just like that, boom, didn't take him anything to drop your name on this. And I can't believe that you're going to go down like that. I have no more to say.
Why would Aaron Moss be invoking Miranda? Unless he's got something he doesn't want the investigators to know.
Guess who lawyered up? Aaron don't want to play. Aaron wants his attorney.
It is absolutely imperative that we know where that gun is. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the investigation. It has to do with doing the right thing. Okay, making sure that that gun is safe and secure.
I don't want anybody else getting killed, Dan.
I personally do not know where the gun is.
Where do you suspect it is?
Where did he say it is?
Well, he spends a lot of time over at what he calls his sister's house, and it's just a good friend of his.
We were able to corroborate what Dan was saying with physical evidence. We did recover the weapon that night. We recovered the 30-06 rifle. It had Aaron Moss's DNA on the strap. We had a shell casing that was recovered. That shell casing was tied directly to that weapon. We have a video from a rural farm security camera that shows their vehicle, Aaron's vehicle, northbound, away from the crime scene shortly after the shooting. Cell phone records, and we did get later, put Aaron at the scene. We knew we had enough evidence to compile a probable cause case. So Dan and Aaron were arrested that evening, later that evening, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They were arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
We were placing handcuffs on Dan, and I told him he was being charged with first-degree murder. He was surprised. He could not believe that he was being charged with first-degree murder because he wasn't the one, according to him, that fired the gun.
The following morning was Shane Hill's funeral. In consultation with the county attorney, we thought it would be prudent at that time to arrest Jessica. So at the conclusion of the funeral, Jessica was arrested by 2 DCI agents.
I think everybody was a little shocked when they come and took her right away from the funeral there.
At that time, I thought she wouldn't do something like that to those kids. It took a long time for us to believe that she did.
Dan Blair, Aaron Moss, and Blair's lover, Jessica Hill. The three are accused of conspiring together in the shooting death of Jessica's husband, Shane Hill, as he arrived for work on a sheep farm the morning of May 28th.
We obviously had the strongest case against Daniel Blair.
The centerpiece of this case is that Dan Blair confessed to the murder of Shane Hill. He cannot get out from underneath that rock.
I think without the confession, it would have probably never gone to trial for first-degree murder.
Daniel Blair was convicted of the first-degree murder of Shane Hill. That sentence in the state of Iowa carries a maximum prison sentence of life without parole. The jury found Aaron Moss guilty of second-degree murder, not first-degree murder. So I think they had some question as to whether or not Aaron Moss was really the trigger man. But he got a 50-year sentence.
We all broke down and cried with joy. They weren't going to get away with murdering our son.
Jessica's biggest offense was I was not there. I had nothing to do with this. She wanted Shane gone and had made that known to Dan Blair, but that she really didn't mean it.
She's the one that instigated the guys to do what they did. They'd have never done it. You know, we wanted her to get first-degree murder and to be in prison for the rest of her life.
Whenever verdicts are read, there's always this sort of heart-in-your-throat moment because you never really know what a jury is going to do.
When the verdict came in of Jessica's, all I did was drop my head.
She was convicted of second-degree murder.
Jessica was sentenced to 50 years. She should have had first degree. None of this would have happened had she not put her part in there. She chose to destroy a lot of lives rather than to get a divorce.
After being convicted of second-degree murder, her conviction was reversed by our Iowa Court of Appeals because there were some hearsay statements that were admitted in the first trial. So the case was sent back to Boone County to be retried.
It was horrifying when they called us and let us know that it had been overturned. That meant we had to go through it again. We were angry, very bitter.
We were prepared to retry that case, but it would have been a fourth time that the family would have had to endure a trial, to go through it, to then have to, worry about an appeal with Jessica.
We just wanted it over. Shane's kids lived with us. I had 2 little kids at home begging me not to go to another trial. So we plea bargained for her to sign the custody of the kids over to me, and she wouldn't have to serve any more than 12 years. And she agreed to it.
Jessica Hill is currently out of prison. She was put on parole in 2012.
The Hill homicide was an in-depth case. It was certainly one I couldn't have tackled on my own without DCI, Agent Kalman, Braffhart, and the other agents. I think the world of those guys.
I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to work with what we was going through, because they were all right there for us. They were so good.
Shane Hill went to his grave thinking he accidentally shot himself. I often wonder if, when Shane got to the pearly gates, did he find out what really happened to him? What a letdown that would have been.
I miss every day hunting and fishing with Shane. I still come up and see Shane's family. They're great people. We're still close friends. The kids have grown up now and they're doing good.
I miss most about Shane. Anytime I was stressed, he would walk up to me, throw his arms around me, and tell me he loved me and it was going to be okay. And I miss that a lot.